Hey everyone, Joe coming to you from Nauset Light, and there it is. And Nauset Light is famous because it's the lighthouse on the potato chip bag. Look, see, there it is. It's a cool lighthouse, and it's in a beautiful setting. The ocean's right over there. It's up on a promontory. It's a pretty place to photograph. Now, there's no clouds today. It's actually kind of windy. They've all gotten blown away. So what are we going to do about that? Well, when we can, we're going to do some framing. There's some nice trails coming out of the woods. We're going to use them to frame some of the sky. But the lighthouse by itself is also okay. And what we did to enhance that was get down a little lower, go in the foliage over here, and get down lower so that the foliage becomes something strong to support the lighthouse above it. So it's a fun place to photograph. Let's see what we can get. So I just got back from a trip to Cape Cod, and we were photographing lighthouses and beaches, and we had lovely weather, but it was very different. It was stormy for the first day, and then we had blue skies with practically, except for one exception, not a cloud to be found. So we were looking for different ways to photograph, and I got this picture of Nauset Lighthouse, which, yes, is the one on the Cape Cod potato chip bag. And I tried to use some framing elements to add some more interest to the shot rather than just have a lighthouse in the blue sky. And the things that I liked was, well, I've got the pine trees above, and I really liked this section of fence, although it's a little too far from the lighthouse. So this started out being a relatively simple adjustment, and then I decided to take it to the next step. So let me take you through it and show you what we can do with this. First, I'm going to make a virtual copy. So now I have an original I can always get back to. So here's my copy, and let's take a look at the image. Well, if you look at the histogram up here, it's really about as good as it could be. It's the tonal range and the tonal contrast that was added bringing it into Lightroom. So let's go into basics and fix that. So the exposure is great. That's fine. Obviously, the shadows are dark. Let's bring the shadows all the way up, but I want more. So I'm going to bring the highlights down. Yeah, it makes the white a little gray, but that gives us some room to push the overall exposure up a little bit better. And that, I think, about right there looks good. Now we've got some detail in here, but we've lost color, so we need to bring the color back. First, I'm going to add some presence. I'm going to add a little bit of texture and clarity, salt and pepper, and then some vibrance and saturation. And now that quickly, it looks a heck of a lot better. We went from there to there just by moving those sliders. Now, you could be done right there, but let's make it a better composition while we're here in Lightroom. So what is not needed? Well, we have a little bit too much of the trees on the side and the top, and maybe a little bit too much to the left, and there's this one branch sticking out. When I photographed this, I saw this as a 16:9 vertical. So let's cut to the chase and do that. I'm going to go to Original and change it to 16:9. And I'm going to move it over a little bit so that the lighthouse is on one of my golden ratio thirds. And you know what? It's actually kind of looking pretty good right there. Let's just hit enter on that. And wow, we've come a long way. Again, there's our original before the crop, and there's our crop. And we could say, well, you could be done with that. But let's take a little closer look. What else does it need? Well, there needs to be a little bit more life down in here. So I'm going to add a graduated mask. I'll do a linear gradient right here, and I'm going to click about here and drag up. And I want to add a little more detail contrast in there. I'll do that with clarity, and I'm going to add a little more contrast, and I'm going to bring up the highlights and the whites, and then maybe even add a little back into the blacks. And by doing that, it adds a little bit more life to it. And then lastly, I'll go to Effects, and I'll add a -12 vignette. And let's take a look. Let's see. I'm gonna queue up our original and that one. Let's go to full screen. So here's where we started, and that's where we ended up. Could we be done? Absolutely. There's something nice about a 16:9 vertical. It's very tall and thin, and it forces you to start at the bottom of the image and lead up to the lighthouse. So one more time, we started there, and we took the image to there just using Lightroom. But is there more we could do? Is there more we should do? We'll take this image into Photoshop and add a couple of things to really tighten up the composition. One, we're going to add some really gentle light clouds behind the lighthouse. And secondly, we're going to compress the foreground a little bit just to tighten up that composition and make a really great shot. And here's what the final shot's going to look like after we take it through Photoshop. There's a link below that shows you where you can sign up, and you'll get free new videos every week. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you online again soon. Bye-bye.